It didn't take much more than a bottle and 2 chairs to make a speakeasy. This is what Daniel Okrent said in his book, Last Call, The Rise and Fall of Prohibition. Today, join us for some stories. Get your own bottle, glass, or mug, and relax. This is Speak Easily, and I'm your host, Krista Stauffer.
Like totally different. You know, the space is space is healthy. It's necessary.
Yeah, I think I made it one day at home, and then nobody was using. So I was teaching online theater classes during the pandemic.
Okay.
To 4th and 5th graders.
Whoa.
Yeah, because we did a service with Columbus Public where we would go into the schools and we'd teach 10 weeks of playwriting and 10 weeks of performing.
Cool.
So they would make a play about weather or some educational topic. And then they would come to our theater and perform it, which was so cool. Pandemic, of course, shutting everything down. So we just put everything online. Poor little kids on these Zoom screens, but they loved it.
Oh, really?
They loved it.
That's awesome.
They did really well, just flipping camera to camera. And
Sure.
This kid had 3 lines, and they could read their lines on screen and act them on screen. I think the last straw for me was just waiting while we were recording one day. I'm like, Aiden, buddy, can you take your toenail out of your mouth while we're recording these? I'm so over that.
That's hilarious.
Because it's so much more energy.
Yeah.
Just be like, okay, we're going to warm up. And then you don't hear anybody. Okay, shake it out. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Right.
Okay. But
trying to be engaging.
Yeah. And because some of these kids live in really rough areas.
Sure.
They couldn't get on screen because they're watching their brother. Or their, mom can't watch anything that's going on. So they're taking care of all their siblings. Or they have to go cook for somebody. It was crazy.
Tough.
Yeah.
That's tough. My mom is a grade school art teacher.
Oh my
gosh. So she was trying to teach art online.
What do you even
do? That's a good question.
Yeah.
But all the teachers were forced into, creating brand new curriculum.
And they spun it in a weekend.
Totally. And, teachers are great at teaching. They're not necessarily great at building online curriculum.
Nope.
And I don't know if it was fair for anybody, but it sounds like acting maybe is a little more doable over Zoom.
It was, because they could still interact and they could still ask questions. And those kids in their chat bars, boy, they love those things.
Oh, did they?
They're like, Miss Christy, you're my favorite. Thank you.
That's hilarious.
But we need to get back to what we're doing.
Like AOL chat, right?
Yeah,
like
we did a whole musical online.
Wow.
Where the kids, we practiced together and we had the accompanists send out tracks.
That's
and
amazing.
They had to record their sections and then we edited everything together.
Is that like evergreen material or are you still doing online class? No. Okay. Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah.
It was as soon as we could spin it back.
Okay.
And it was like, get in here, put your mask on, let's do this.
Yep. Yep.
Acting was one of the last things to come back.
Okay.
Just because we couldn't get together and they couldn't figure out ways to get these old theaters up to the standards with, ventilation and all of that.
Sure.
The first show I did was, oh golly, an outdoor show in 21.
Okay.
That was like the only way that we could do any theater. We did a couple things that were, 6-person shows where we would just record and then edit together, which looked absolutely horrific. But yeah, I don't miss it.
That's crazy.
No.
Wow.
It was so hard.
Wow.
Like, why did I choose this career again?
No doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you grow up here?
I grew up in Dayton.
In Dayton.
My dad lives, Columbus has always been a second home.
Okay.
So I moved to Columbus in 2015 full-time for culinary school.
Okay.
Yeah, I moved in with him.
Okay.
Did the culinary school thing at Columbus State. So that was a 2-year program, and it's apprenticeship-based. So
Okay.
I was at Lindy's in German Village. So I was at Lindy's for 4 years. Yeah, pretty fancy. Definitely learned a ton on the job there. And worked in professional kitchens there for a while and kind of slowly worked my way out of kitchens and more into it was like a contradictory life I was living. I was like living second shift, partying it up after work with all the culinary, with all the cooks and servers, much older than me too. I was like a very young, influential 19-year-old hanging out with a bunch of 35-year-olds. If that gives you any idea of what was going down.
Because your night ends at what, 1 o'clock?
Yeah.
Yep.
I would work sometimes doubles from like 7 a.m. until, cleaning up until 1. And then, I'd go out to the bar and have the whole thing to do again tomorrow. Wake up at 7. So it was very little
But you were
sleep.
19. You could do it.
I was 19, but like the darkest circles that you could ever imagine under my eyes.
Yeah.
And still working out and knowing how important that was, but it was not, there was no amount of working out that I could do to counteract the lifestyle I was living. And I just slowly became more interested in health and nutrition, and that took me down into becoming a personal trainer for a couple years. So I did that for a while and became more passionate about nutrition and where our food came from.
Okay.
And just went down the whole rabbit hole of working different jobs, like working at a farm, working at a slaughterhouse for the better part of a year during COVID.
Okay.
And
yeah, I guess that didn't stop, did it?
No. Nope. Yeah, so I was a little family slaughterhouse out in Johnstown.
Okay.
Very small scale, but I was a part of the whole process, the killing to the butchering on the table. It's like I talk a lot about the food system and good things and bad things within it, and it was a really pivotal learning time for me.
Yeah.
It's like if I can do this and continue to eat meat, I think a lot of people, I think everybody should see how their food
Is made. Yeah.
Because we're all very, disconnected from it, and
Yeah.
it's a harsh reality. It's
is.
like,
Yeah.
if we like our steaks, we like our pork chops, we like our eggs even, it all comes from a living thing,
Right.
Has
to.
Gives you like a deeper appreciation
I
for.
can imagine. Yeah.
So definitely some weak knees watching it all go down at first, but it was a very quick adjustment because it was every week, every Thursday and Friday, we were on the kill floor and then butchering with all the butchers through the other days. So that's where I learned like where all my steaks came from.
Yeah.
I can mostly navigate my way through breaking down a whole cow and pig and be able to tell you where all the cuts were. But before that, from culinary school, I didn't know any of that stuff. Yeah, I didn't know any of that stuff. I would have never been able to learn it in a book.
Yeah. Man.
So very hands-on, working at a farm, collecting eggs, milking cows, feeding pigs.
What was your favorite?
I think the pigs were really cool. They were like out in everything was very natural and sustainable systems. So the chickens were in these mobile coops. And when you think of mobile coops, you thinking like a smaller scale. We had 3,500 chickens out on mobile pasture.
Oh my gosh.
So it was 3 giant houses with feeding lines, water lines, nest boxes down the middle, and then they would get drugged to new grass every other day. And there was a big netted electric fence that we would set up around it and move to a new set of grass. So the chickens were getting moved to new grass, and there was no automation. So all the eggs were collected by hand. And
that's a lot of eggs.
a chicken has about a 90% lay rate. And I was picking, some days I would collect 3,000 to 3,500 eggs all by myself. Yeah. You're collecting eggs for 6 hours straight. 3 in one hand, 3 in the other, going right into these plastic 30 egg trays. You fill up a crate, put the crate in the tractor, and just
keep going.
Keep going.
But that's healthy though.
Yeah.
They were moved, and that's good environment for them.
I learned a ton. I saw that, it's like animal agriculture can get a bad rap.
Yeah.
Nothing is created the same in the world, including agriculture, including acting classes. I mean, it's all so nuanced.
Yep.
To say you don't like improv is silly because you haven't taken every improv class in the world. You can't.
No.
So it was really insightful. I was one of the it was like one of the healthiest times of my life because I was getting 15,000 steps a day.
Oh yeah.
Just like getting to spend all my money on the good food at the farm I was working at. It was really cool. Meeting a lot of clients that would in the future become like meal prep clients that I'm working with now. Nice. So it was a good relationship to build.
Probably just learning how it all comes from is just probably gives you a better idea of like, now I know what I want to put in my body.
Or like now I see why good eggs are so expensive. Like,
Yeah.
I want to spend the more money because I know that those hens lived a better life. And you see how much work it is, like these more natural systems can't be automated like a lot of the more conventional systems can. So you're left with a more expensive product that is, better for the environment, better for the people working there, right?
Yeah.
I didn't have to wear like hazmat suits like they do in giant chicken factories.
Right.
It was a very outdoor, natural way of doing it.
The right way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We did a raw milk herd chair, so I was milking cows and
How do they handle the milking? Are they usually pretty good about it?
yeah,
I mean, it's relief to some degree. for
yeah,
them.
yeah, and there's an argument around whether or not it's ethical or not. I think that's a personal choice, right? A mom cow is going to have babies no matter what.
Right.
And you're weaning the baby, you're, letting the baby do its thing with mom until it gets to a certain age. And then you wean it off and milk feed it. And then you continue milking mom. And there are intensive ways to do it that is not good for mom. And there are ways that are, a whole lot more sustainable and caring for mom, right? So.
Yeah.
A conventional cow, say, whatever lowest quality milk that you get at the grocery store, that cow will live for a very small fraction of the time that a cow on, a better operational.
Literally milking it dry.
Yeah, literally pumping it full of as much as you can to extract every last drop out of it, and they become nutrient deficient.
Yeah.
And
Oh my gosh.
yeah, so it is. It's like, look, there's it's something that I think everybody just seeing where your food comes from, knowing that there's lives involved, the farmers that are there, all these people's lives matters, the animals' lives matters. So becoming more accustomed with that just gives you more appreciation. And in a world of cheap food, I think it's like time we all think about spending a little more to have a better, better quality.
It's so hard too, because like looking at how expensive it is to eat well
is
sad.
It is.
It's so much cheaper to eat junk and processed shit.
Yeah.
It's not fair.
Absolutely.
You're trying to do better for yourself and for, where it comes from and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Is there
it's
anything
tough.
you don't eat?
I mean, I've been way more restrictive in my life in certain periods.
Yeah.
I learn about a new thing and then I go really hard against it or for it, right?
Okay.
Like I was a no gluten guy for a while because I read some books about it, but then I realized there's higher quality wheats.
Right.
I would say I try and stick away from like seed oils or like highly refined processed oils like soybean oil, vegetable oils and
just for
stuff
health?
like that. Yeah. It's they're highly processed and there's a lot of chemical deodorization and there's a lot of science behind them not being the healthiest thing.
Yeah.
But if I go out to like a cool Korean restaurant that I some cool food that I'm not making at home and they're using some seed oils, it's like whatever. I just try and limit it.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
When did you start cooking? Like, what was your first?
I grew up in a household with a single mom that cooked 2 to 3 times a week. So the idea of home cooked food was really familiar. And we had 2 raised garden beds in the back.
Okay.
So, I vividly remember like bringing zucchini in, making zucchini bread, or, like my mom makes this like zucchini dish with like broiled cheese on it. It's kind of simple. And I don't know if I would love it now.
Good,
it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good. So I wasn't really cooking then. I wasn't really into food then.
But you liked it. I mean,
I'm not even super convinced with that. In high school, I worked at a steakhouse, and it was my first restaurant experience. And first time, like, I was the dishwasher and a busboy. So I was front of house and back of house. And I loved the intensity of the restaurant. I loved the camaraderie and the family that was built in the restaurant industry because you're there so often with these really also intense people.
Yeah.
And I really didn't have a path after high school. I didn't know. I knew I should go to college. I didn't know what for. So I just decided culinary school. I played music at the time too.
What'd you play?
Trombone.
Okay.
Yep. So I was in all the bands.
Yeah.
Pit orchestra, jazz band, pep band,
Nice.
all this stuff. I just didn't see as strong of a future in music as I did food. So we decided on food. I went through all the way through culinary school. Really was not even passionate about it. Then. Nothing really sparked my passion until I had a couple knee surgeries, which got me very passionate about physical health. I became the personal trainer, and then nutrition and regenerative agriculture and like where our food comes from is when it all really clicked.
Yeah.
Like, you know, in culinary school, it's very flavor based. It's very technique based. It's very not health based or quality of ingredient based.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when that clicked for me, that was like, this food can really change my health and really impact my health.
Yeah.
And that's where the passion came from.
Nice.
So yeah, the version of me today that's like cooking all the time is probably only, 2020, 2019.
Okay.
So 3 years through culinary school and even a year and a half after that, food was really just something that I did.
Okay.
I was learning on how to become a better cook and learning a lot of the tools that I use now. But I knew I had to get out of restaurants when I was like, in a restaurant you get fed well. You can pretty much eat whatever.
Yeah.
Like all the ingredients are there.
Right.
But I was like, GFS eggs were showing up at the restaurant, and I was bringing my own pasteurized eggs.
Okay.
And bringing all my own food. I was like, this just doesn't.
No.
And I was working at a nice restaurant. And, it's like, just because you're paying a lot of money at a restaurant doesn't mean they're using great ingredients. You're paying for the flavor. You're paying for all the labor that isn't involved.
True. And the skill.
And the skill.
Yeah.
Totally.
Which, I mean, that's a big part of it.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't do well in the kitchen.
Yeah. Most people wouldn't. It'll chew you up and spit you out the other side of kitchen well.
I think I was a server for a whopping 2 months.
Okay.
And that was just serving.
Yeah.
I like people.
Yeah.
People don't want to talk to you when you work at a TGI Fridays. That was not the best choice.
No.
And the food was not great.
No.
And not for me. Not for me.
Yeah. I would say I'm a mix of the front of house and back of house. I can get down with the kitchen people, but I definitely like being the face and, being out there with the people. I'm extroverted in that way for sure.
Yeah.
A lot of kitchens are full of a lot of introverted cooks and chefs, for a good reason.
Get down and focus on the work.
Exactly.
That would not work for me.
But it's a hustle, man,
It's nonstop.
50s, I was just a cook and I was working 40 to 60 hours. And then, my chef, my direct boss was working 60 to 80 hours a week.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yep.
No.
Probably making a similar hourly wage if you broke it down.
Yep. Which is not enough.
That's what it takes to run a restaurant. It really is. There's such low profit margins. You need super hard workers. You got to cut some corners on ingredients, and it's a really tough business.
It's interesting because to me, it's almost just like I would think that being a chef is like being a singer, and that it is so preferential.
Yeah.
That people have their strong opinions on it
Totally.
for no good reason.
Yeah.
Like, no, this is what you like. It doesn't mean it's bad, but this is what you like, and people have a problem with that.
Totally. Like, you mean like certain dishes or,
And just how picky people can be.
Well, that's true. Yep. Yeah, you can definitely fall in, it's like the customer's always right situation. That's a tough situation to be in. Yeah. So a lot of people ask me is the goal to open a restaurant or, what's that look like? And the answer is I have gotten out of restaurants for a reason. So
you've done that. You served your time.
Yeah. Served my time. I learned what I need to learn. There's still other ways to feed people.
Yeah.
And educate them along the way.
Yeah.
That's the big mission.
Which is what I love, that you're an educator
Yep.
on top of just, I do this,
Totally.
but let me show you what I do and why it's important.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm a big educator, so that's a lovely part of it.
It's important, putting out videos is cool, recipe videos, that's fine. You're not often going to catch me just putting out a recipe without some little secret hidden message to get you thinking a little bit about it. Because I really do think that's important. And I've worked a lot of jobs that a lot of people haven't. And before those jobs, I was just like the average person, not really understanding the importance or the value of those jobs. And I think like shedding a little light on it and exposing the really hard worker, maybe the undervalued hard workers in our that make our food system possible is, you know, the least I can do.
You gotta eat.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yep.
What are some of your favorite places in Columbus
To eat? Let's see. So Morris Road is like, you know, I spend a lot of time on Morris Road. Huang's is a Vietnamese spot that does really good pho. So we're big pho, like spring roll family. I've been making a lot of pho at home too, but it's like a traditional Vietnamese. Has like cinnamon, star anise, rice noodles, and then like I always get like the rare beef with.
Okay.
You can get all kinds of cool stuff in it. But I often don't eat out. I mean, I think me and my girlfriend were thinking about this the other day. The last time we ate out together was last February.
Oh my gosh.
And yeah. And
It's probably hard when you can do it yourself.
It's become, and because quality is so important to me, and locality, it has become difficult.
Yeah.
So I often am just eating foods that I don't normally eat. I'm not worried as much about quality. I'm there for like the fun experience. Restaurant Sheila is another Korean restaurant. I couldn't tell you what road that's on.
Okay.
But, you know, it's these like cool cultural restaurants where maybe you can't communicate with the, you know, the staff too well. And I love Latin flavors, so if there's like a good taco truck, we're always doing tacos. But yeah, less eating out the more and more time goes on.
Yeah.
Not because I don't think people shouldn't be eating out. You know, obviously I'm a big advocate for cooking at home. It's just more efficient, cost efficient.
Yeah.
I can control more of what goes in my body. My girlfriend eats out maybe 2 to 3 times a month. But yeah, I'm pretty.
Okay.
I'm an eat at home kind of guy.
Right?
Yeah.
And if you can, that makes perfect sense.
Totally.
And if you've got the space,
Yep.
Are you real selective on your tools and pans and knives and all that good stuff?
It's been an evolving thing. I try and stick away from nonstick pans. There's just some weird coatings and, you know, some potential stuff that could get into my food there. So it's like stainless steel, cast iron, wooden and stainless steel utensils. I've collected some nice knives over the years and collected some nice pans. So, but I started out with the crappiest Walmart pans, and
Because it was there.
that's what I
you
had.
needed,
That's the money I had, you
Yeah.
know, and I like cooking with nice.
Is there anything you don't like to cook, or any? Are you more cooking, baking?
Yeah, I'm
Do
more
you bake
cooking.
too?
I'm more cooking, but kind of 2024 goal for me is just like diving more into the baking thing, because there's a lot of baking that revolves around really strict recipes that you have to adhere to, but there's a lot of bread baking and things like that are more intuitive, and that's kind of more my style of cooking.
I'm not a good baker.
Yeah.
Because you have to follow a recipe.
You do.
And I'd rather just play and see what tastes good.
Same.
And that doesn't work with
Yeah.
baking.
Yeah, you know, if you can get down certain recipes do require more of the rigid recipe kind of thing, and I'm like, a lot of what I teach or, you know, believe in is breaking free from recipes and cooking more intuitively, because the world is so full of recipes. I don't know that we need more recipes.
We really don't.
You know, we need different ways of thinking about those recipes and using them as like a formula, a guidebook. Yeah, right. It's like, you can't write a book on how to make somebody an actor. You can put out guidelines and they can interpret them in different ways.
But you got to figure it out for yourself.
Yeah. And the only way to do that is just like spend time cooking in the kitchen.
What is your favorite thing to cook?
Favorite?
Or one of yours, I know.
Yeah, that's tough. Latin flavors, I think, trump all in our house. So doing like barbacoas, pulled, you know, like carnitas. We do like a lot of marinated steak. I know, I made sure I did. A lot of like marinated steak, grilled like steak tacos. I've been cooking with a lot of like masa, which is like corn flour hydrated. So I've been making a lot of arepas and tamales and just playing around with a lot of Latin flavors.
What's your heritage?
I'm Italian.
Okay.
But I'm so disconnected. Like, I don't feel
Yeah.
Italian.
Okay.
You know, I'm like fourth generation.
Right.
My grandma did like Sunday dinners in Erie every Sunday for a while when she was alive. And, you know, from scratch noodles for a while. The family still has her pasta sauce. But I don't.
It's not a deep.
Yeah. I'm not like, you know,
Yeah.
I don't like root for the Italian soccer teams or anything like that. I very, I very much feel like an American, you know, just a classic. Like,
Do you get to travel much?
we've done a lot of yeah, I've had I've been very grateful and lucky that, you know, growing up my mom has taken me to Greece. I've been to Paris, Rome, and London, and then me and my girlfriend have done a bunch of trips throughout the country. And last year we went to Oaxaca, Mexico. So I've done like Costa Rica and Colombia. So I'm totally in love with Latin culture, the people, the food, the flavors. It's a very kind and welcoming community, and we have a strong Latin community here in Columbus, and working with a lot of them in kitchens brought me closer to it too. And I know enough Spanish to communicate in a kitchen, and I'd love to learn more Spanish, because I think it is like, it's a whole group of people that, you know, I don't get to communicate with.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That have strong, deep food culture too, which we lack here.
We do.
We lack big time in the U.S. because we're all, you know, all of our families have kind of moved us here from different countries
along the way.
Exactly. So I hope to build that food culture for like me and my own family one day, me and my girlfriend and kids, if that happens, and because I think it's so important. You know,
It really is.
and you know, in a lot of Latin culture, it's like food is life.
Oh yeah, and you eat well.
Totally.
Very well.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yep.
My step grandmother was from Costa Rica.
Oh, cool.
And some of the recipes that she left, she had a recipe she called tocaritos.
Okay.
I couldn't tell you what it was essentially a burrito, but it had a sauce on it that she created. No matter how the family has tried to replicate it, nope.
Yeah.
No, and especially because the recipes were like a handful of this, a little bit of this, and it's like nobody knows how much that is, Grandma.
Yep.
You gotta lay that out.
I know.
For us. But there was nothing like her cooking.
Totally.
And she passed away when I was probably a sophomore in high school, so it's been a couple of years since then. But yeah, that was, you know, with my family, we never. I mean, Grandma made some homemade stuff, but predominantly German, Irish, English family. We didn't have any deep roots as far as cooking or that sort of thing.
Right.
I wish we did.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's, you know, it can give a lot of purpose and give you, you know, food memories. Like,
Oh yeah.
I think that's, you know, you taste something and it reminds you of home. I think that's like really powerful. Food has become something that is very like immediate gratification. We go eat, it like fills us up. It tastes yummy, and that's almost it.
It's happiness.
You know, it is. Yeah, it's like a quick boost of happiness. But like, imagine if there was, it doesn't even need to be culture, but just like if you spend time cooking it, or if you know the person that cooked or raised the animal, or you get to meet the people that raised your vegetables. Like, I think that
absolutely
that is really powerful, and that's like where you start to build culture. You don't have to have like Italian heritage to feel connected to your food. It's just knowing the people that were involved in it, and you know, you getting involved in it yourself. Like, you know how much better a home cooked meal feels like for the soul, and if you get to share it with people and they give you compliments,
and if somebody else does the dishes afterward.
Exactly.
That doesn't happen as often as I'd like, but that's okay.
We've got a good system. I do most of the cooking, but she does a good job at like cleaning up and being a good sous chef.
We need to work on that with the children. Yeah, we don't have a dishwasher at our house, but we say we've got 3.5 dishwashers. It's that half that we keep him off the dishes as much as possible. It's not a good thing.
That's hilarious.
I did a mission trip to Kenya.
Wow.
And the folks that we were working with out there, they wouldn't let us eat at the hotel. They didn't want us to eat
Okay.
outside food. They said, no, you'll come to our house every day. And so the community helped by bringing food over.
Cool.
And so not only did we, have delicious homemade African food every day, we got to meet some of our food. We named one of them stew because that's what it became.
Wow.
And it was delicious.
Yeah.
But I mean, homemade chapati and everything with every meal and the
Amazing.
vegetables, to the degree that when we got back and we were traveling through Zurich, we hadn't eaten because Nairobi airport is terrible, notoriously terrible.
Is it?
We couldn't eat anything there. So by the time we flew into Zurich, I think I had like a ham and cheese sandwich. I was sick
Oh boy.
because my stomach had gotten used to eating this fresh,
Yeah.
homegrown, cooked in front of you food. It's
amazing.
like, this should say something.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Yep. I think it's quality. It's not even quality that is the biggest overarching thing. It's like just being a part of the meal or seeing the people that are a part of it. I've tried things that I never would have tried because they were put in front of me by somebody who cooked it and like really loved it, or just put so much love and attention into a meal.
It's a gift. I mean, it's a
is.
literal,
It is a gift.
tangible gift of
Yeah.
like, I put my hands on this and made
Yes.
this happen for you.
Yeah.
That was what made it so beautiful. And
It's like the ultimate form of love and
yeah,
affection.
Absolutely.
Right. Trying to impress somebody by taking them out to a meal is fine.
Sure.
But I think like struggling your way through a meal and maybe making something that's not quite as good as the restaurant meal is going to provide a whole
Yeah.
lot more value
Yep.
and like good feelings behind it. Because it's, you worked for it. You didn't just pay
Yeah.
for the meal. How often do you go out to eat and like meet the person that cooked it?
You don't.
Meet the people that raised it.
never do.
So
No.
I think people are coming around to it. The farm to table thing is,
Yeah.
that's coming around more. Like the health, there's definitely a health revolution happening. More people
Yeah.
being aware of how it affects their bodies.
Right. So you wake up for breakfast. Do you cook a breakfast? Do you down a bowl of Lucky Charms?
Yeah.
What's your-
Uh,
do you have a cheat that you...
Big oatmeal. It's usually a quicker breakfast. It's like leftovers from the night before with a couple eggs added to it, or oatmeal with like protein powder and
Yeah.
whatever fruit and nuts I have around.
Yeah.
Pretty basic, like utility breakfasts, and like leftovers makes the world go round. So always cooking more than what I need,
Yeah.
and utilizing the leftovers in different ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you a strict breakfast? Like this is a breakfast food, or will you... Doesn't matter.
I'll eat whatever. I'm kind of a caveman in some ways with how I eat. Like I have been notorious for just like eating a bowl of ground beef with like sauce on it or something, or maybe
nothing wrong
ground
with
beef
that.
and some sauerkraut. Like I'm definitely like quality protein, quality, always looking for a higher protein meal.
Yeah.
Cause that's really helps me feel. I was under eating for a long time. Just like the intermittent fasting thing.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
Yeah, it didn't work for me. It definitely caused a lot of issues in my gut and stuff I'm probably still dealing with some now.
I just get too grumpy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I need some sugar in my body.
I think most people do.
Yeah.
Yeah, most people do. What works for somebody doesn't work for everybody. And I was just like in that phase of my health kind
Yeah.
of journey, like reading about intermittent fasting. I was doing like the 1 meal a day thing. So, and that was when I was working at the farm. I was doing
Oh, that's
90-degree days,
Yeah.
15,000 steps. I would not eat until like 4:30 p.m. I would eat from like 4 p.m. to like 8 p.m.
And then nothing.
and then nothing.
Jeez.
It's the next day. And just
No.
like down in cold brew.
Yeah.
The gut was totally a mess. And then like when you don't eat for 16 hours, like you make terrible food decisions.
Absolutely.
So it's like
It's like whatever can fit in
a
your
whole
mouth.
thing of peanut butter or
Yeah.
like, the stupidest things. And I thought it was good for me.
Yeah, I can't do it.
But here we are.
Here we are.
Come a long way. I try and get 2 meals in before noon now. So I've already had like almost 90 grams of protein today. So really,
Good for you.
really trying to turn things around. Like
for
I've been
you.
able to gain some weight and put on muscle at the gym.
Yeah.
That wasn't happening for a long time. I was just like real lean and not, probably like malnourished in ways.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a weird question that I'm directing specifically toward my children. How do you get people to enjoy food when they won't eat anything?
Yeah.
Is that something a magical trick of that you can share?
I know. I've thought about making like videos about this or like, but I don't know that I can talk to parents
Yeah.
about their kids if I don't have kids. It's like, I don't know if parents want to hear it from me. I would say getting, like, in my eyes, getting kids involved in the process.
Yeah.
I think could really do a lot of good. If they're able to see their hard work pay off or they're able to get involved some, it could help it make more exciting for them. Or if they get to see the carrot pull out of the ground and then they get to chop it up and put it in their salad. I know that's not something every family can, like, we're all busy and it's hard to like even cook yourself, let alone have patience.
Terrible at growing, so that doesn't do any good for me either.
Or like have the patience to have your kids in the kitchen with you. Like, I imagine that could be difficult. So I don't know. I don't know if I have the answer. I would say getting them involved, playing around with different sauces, and
what about adults, though? I mean, there's a lot of picky adults out there that have just determined that this is not, I just don't like it.
Yeah, I just don't think they've had it in a way that they, I've cooked for a lot of people that say they don't like things, and it's likely because they have some, trauma, like mom boiled the crap out of the Brussels sprouts growing up, so now it's like you don't love Brussels sprouts, but if you've had them crispy with some bacon and like a little honey mustard situation, like, now you're talking. It's a whole different thing.
Yeah. I had to get over a lot of that. Mom did a lot, and Mom's a great cook, don't get me wrong, but there were just a lot of corners, I think.
Sure.
Like, even thinking about it, of canned asparagus.
Oh.
That should be outlawed.
Yeah. No texture.
It was like limp.
Like you could spread it on toast if you wanted.
Oh gosh, it all just comes back into bile.
Totally.
But I think and canned mushrooms.
Canned mushrooms are rough.
They were awful.
Slimy, rubbery, totally.
And there were a lot of those.
Yeah.
And I just
Well, yeah, Mom grew up in the time where it was like the convenience foods.
Yep.
It's like, oh, I don't have to spend time chopping.
Nope. Just throw it all together.
Mushrooms. Yeah. So.
Because I think the worst was the spaghetti growing up.
Okay.
Because Mom did ground beef, which I was never a beef fan. Still don't eat it today.
Yeah. Okay.
It just doesn't do well with my system.
Yeah.
Canned mushrooms, stewed tomatoes, so big old chunky slobs of canned stewed tomatoes, and big chunks of onion, which I never liked either. So it was that was like plowing. Oh, yeah. It was rough.
Yeah.
But I've learned to like it.
Sure.
Like, love asparagus now.
Yep.
Because I roast it.
Yeah,
It's
right.
better.
Yep.
Love Brussels. We never grew up with those.
Yep.
Because I think it was just not, they're too much work and the house smells like fart. But it's, I love them.
Yeah, totally. Yep. Crisped up in the oven, get them a little roasty. It is. It's just like trying different ways of making them,
Not in a can.
Not in a can. Yeah. There's certain things I do in a can. Beans I'm cool with, for chilies and stuff like that. But I've been trying to lean into more of my own canning. So canned some jams and jellies last year and some applesauce that I made. So
are you a dessert person?
Yeah. I eat ice cream often.
Do you make it?
I have not made any.
Okay.
I would like an ice cream machine in the near future. I think that'd be super fun to do for my dinners, but also just like use better ingredients and make my own.
Yeah.
But I always am just buying ice cream with as minimal ingredients. It's always kind of my thing. Usually Jenny's. It's good.
We love Jenny.
Brambleberry Crisp is a household favorite.
What's the one I haven't been there in years, but it was a cayenne pepper.
Ooh.
Something spicy. I'm a big spice person.
Okay.
Yeah.
She does some really cool flavor combos.
And she uses local creameries and stuff, doesn't she, typically?
Yeah, well, I think with the scale that she's at now, I'm not exactly sure how feasible. Maybe some of it is.
Yeah.
There's a certain scale that like small producers can only.
She's sort of grown
immensely.
immensely.
It's like you can get Jenny's like in Florida and California and airports. Like it's everywhere.
Which is kind of cool.
It's crazy. It's awesome. Yeah, it's awesome that it's a Columbus started company.
Yeah.
Yeah, ice cream definitely. Big potato chip guy. Big like peanut butter chocolate combo. So like
Okay.
dark chocolate dipped into peanut butter. But I'll
Yeah,
do
this is
cake on holidays. But
okay. But not,
yeah,
yeah.
I'm not like a pastry breakfast kind of guy.
No.
Usually trying. It's like if it's in the house, it is getting eaten. I will say that. If it's bought, it will be consumed.
Yeah.
So I do my best at just not buying it.
Yeah.
We, I had like 80% of a pint of ice cream just the other night.
Okay.
Because that's the thing. It's like there's no control. You put,
there.
yeah, you put the ice cream in front of me. Will take every bone in my body, every ounce of self will to not eat the whole thing.
So that's your ice
Yeah,
cream.
ice cream's a vice for sure.
I get that. I'm not there,
Okay.
but chips and salsa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or some guac.
More savory, salty, crunchy kind of
Salty,
thing.
crunchy.
Okay.
Yep.
Totally.
I could always do that. In a
Yeah.
heartbeat.
I agree.
I don't know. I think it was always like you would eat the meal to get the dessert.
Okay.
So you didn't really enjoy the meal. It was more so just the treat at the end.
Mm,
So even that was sort of like, I'm not even that interested in dessert anymore.
I could see
Like,
that.
okay.
Yeah.
I don't bake anymore.
Okay.
I don't enjoy it. I love cooking though.
Yeah.
And I like it, I think because it became, this is terrible as a parent, but it became the time where nobody could bother me.
Yeah.
Because I had to stay focused on what I was doing and learned how to multitask. Because I do a lot of like food prep Sundays, so I have stuff for
Nice.
weeks. I don't have time to do it every night and
Yeah.
every meal.
Nope.
So having that time of just like, okay, 3 dishes going at once.
That's awesome.
So much better.
And, I think the meal prep thing can be intimidating for people. And it was probably more intimidating for you for when you first started.
Yeah.
You compare like how far you've come from when you first started thinking about doing the meal prepping to now, how much more natural it feels. It's something everybody can do more of.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, you put on some good music and you pour a bottle of wine.
It's fun.
It's like,
Yeah.
Here's my night.
It's fun.
Yeah.
And those, little efficiencies and the multitasking you learn in the kitchen, I think those can apply to so many aspects of life.
absolutely.
Right? It can make you better multitasker with kids outside of the kitchen. It could help you with business and multitasking there, just
Yep.
like because you have to plan, what needs to go on first, how long is it going to take, it's
It's a lot.
it's a lot.
Uses different parts of the brain.
Totally.
For sure.
It's good
but
for you.
I love it though.
Yep.
So if you are, what are you cooking for dinner tonight? Let's go there.
Last night I cooked a big pork shoulder
Okay.
in like a very gingery, sweet and sour kind of sauce, like kind of based on a bulgogi sauce.
Okay.
So I just thawed out the pork shoulder. I have all kinds of sauces and marinades pre-made and frozen in the freezer.
Oh,
So I
nice.
just thaw one of those out,
Okay.
pour it in, put it in the oven for 3 hours, and then that pork shoulder we'll eat off of for like 2 to 3 days. So I'll probably do like a stir fry thing, cabbage, the pork shoulder, cook some rice, and
Do you
do
like
some
things
herbs.
spicy?
yeah, we go
Yeah.
spicy. Yeah, for sure.
Nice. How
Yeah.
spicy?
Like I like to have to drink some water, I really like the food to fight back a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Spiciest thing you've ever had?
Oh man. I don't know. I did when B-Dubs still had the Blazing Wing Challenge. I did that back in middle school, and that was probably
Middle school.
Yeah, I think 8th grade. Yeah, it was like a band.
Did it just make you sick?
It was just so hot, just so
Yeah.
hot. It like burned all through my stomach. Burned. It was so hot, sweating,
Ugh.
like all around your mouth was
just
burning,
running,
nose
eyes
running.
running.
Totally.
Ugh.
Yeah, yeah. I don't love
And then you can't even taste it.
no, it's not fun.
No.
No, I don't like things that hot, but I do like a good amount of spice. So I have to be careful, like
Yeah.
doing my dinners and stuff. Like I can't cook exactly how I would want everything. Got to be mindful of other people.
Right. Like, are you going to survive this?
Yeah.
Yeah. My husband can't do
No spice.
super. He's okay, but pretty medium spice,
Okay.
which is kind of nice because half the time I'll cook something and it's like, no, you won't like it.
I was like, I guess
Sorry.
it's
Little-
burger again
little
tonight.
kick. Do you have a go-to element that's like in almost everything that you cook?
Well, I would say there's like 4. I guess ingredient wise, no, but
Yeah.
there's always like a good well-rounded flavor profile of a meal is usually a balance of like sweet and sour, salty and bitter, and yeah, sweet and sour, salty and bitter, and then there's like a funky element, like a soy sauce or like a fish sauce or a Worcestershire, and then like some sort of fat. If you look at like every good recipe or every good well balanced dish, there's usually one of each of those, and like pulling those flavors in different ways is really how.
So you're getting all sides of the tongue.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's like good, well-rounded flavor. Like the
Yeah.
perfect, most simple example of it is like a lemonade, where you have, if you have way too much lemon juice in your lemonade, it's not enjoyable. It's way sour. If you have way too much sugar in there, it's way sweet and not enjoyable. But the perfect combination of the two is like super refreshing and delicious.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like, I rarely cook recipes anymore. It is very much just like filling those for
A lot of tasting, probably.
a lot of
Yeah.
tasting, like what I call like complementary flavors. Like from art people, complementary colors make a lot of sense, where different colors react with each other to create, rounded flavors, and the ingredients serve the same role. So
Love that.
it's like having different acidic things, different sweet things, different fatty things, different bitter things, and different ways of getting
pulling 'em in.
salt. Just
Yeah.
pulling them in.
Yeah.
It's like I'll cook a big giant thing of protein. We'll roast off a bunch of vegetables. We'll roast, make rice or a bunch of potatoes, and then like you pull in the flavor afterwards of the different ingredients to get it to where you want it. Which might be like high
So
level.
hungry right now.
Do you have prepped food with you? Okay.
Chili's in the fridge.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah,
there you
yeah.
go. I'm a big chili guy.
I do like some chili.
Heck yeah.
I like a white bean chicken chili.
Yeah, my girlfriend
Some
turned me on to that.
jalapenos.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Sometimes there's too many in there.
Okay.
But that's okay. We just roll with it.
More soup for you.
Yeah, a little nose run on top of it. But so when did the whole cooking channel of yours start? Was this kind of on a whim or
Yeah.
okay? Did somebody encourage you to start filming?
Well, when I was a personal trainer, I kind of started doing the video thing.
Okay.
But the training was not my passion. I still do it, still work out all the time. But the food, it was October 21st, 2021 was my first video that I posted. And I think it was just a whim. I really had no idea what I was doing. I could still recite the whole script of the video.
Did you prep it?
Kind
Like
of.
script it out?
Well, I was like cooking for my meal prep people.
Yeah.
And I just decided like, oh, this is like a gluten-free roux that I'm making
Okay.
to thicken this chicken stock
Yeah.
sauce. So I just like shot the video in the Instagram app,
Okay.
edited it in the Reels app, and just started making them.
Yeah.
And between October 21st, 2021 to 2023, I made over 400 short form
Oh
videos.
my gosh.
And
Do you do one every day?
there was a 40-day streak where I did one every single day, shot and edited one every day. I was very inefficient. I was coming up with the script that day, coming up with the shoot, filming, editing, and the whole thing in one day. Now I'm like, I'll do 3 to 5 videos in a day.
Okay.
So I'm
Getting them out of the way.
typing out scripts,
Do you use
coming
like a
up with shot
teleprompter
lists.
app?
I use my I should probably look into a teleprompter app.
It's great.
I'm very
Love it.
DIY.
Okay.
I made the font really big on Apple Notes,
Okay.
and all my scripts are on Apple Notes.
Nice.
And most of them don't take, I don't have to scroll. So I'll have, camera set up here and laptop right out of the way. So
Okay. A little sneaky.
read
sneaky.
my script, address back to the camera, and go back and forth.
Nice.
So now I've, got like a video set up. I've got soft boxes and the whole studio set up in my house.
Never think you'd be a
Yes,
Insta star.
exactly.
Filmmaker.
Yeah, I've just always tried to make the videos better every
Yeah.
time I make one.
Do you find it hard to come up with content, or?
Sometimes I go through like creative spurts for sure.
Yeah.
But so many of my content ideas come from stuff that are happening in my life,
Mm-hmm.
and I've become really interested in like wild food and foraging.
Yeah.
So every time I learn about something new, I can make a video about it and then tie it into this like overarching story that I'm trying to tell.
Yeah.
And the idea is it's the time. It's the time to find, because I don't really make, I made like 400 videos before I started making any money making videos.
Yeah.
Did
you hear that, kids?
Yeah.
Stop trying to become YouTube stars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like you gotta make you gotta make it's gotta be good. You gotta perfect it. Eventually people will notice you.
Consistent with
Consistent.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like anything.
Yep.
If you want to get good at anything, you gotta just do it and do it and do it and
No matter
not
how
go out with
angry
your friends
Yep.
or I always would just watch like really cool food video people and be like, damn, I want to get my stuff to look like that.
Yeah.
And I've gotten them to a point where they could be a little more polished, but they're where
It's your style, though, too.
Yeah. Yep.
And you remain consistent with your style, which
Totally.
is very important.
Totally.
I mean, if you show up in a tux and
Yeah.
start, the towel around the arm
Right,
presenting
right.
that,
Yes.
nobody would buy it.
Totally. Yeah. So keeping it a little like real and dirty,
Yeah.
goofy. People like the silliness and
It works.
Yeah.
You're doing great. I'm proud
Thank
of
you.
you. You're doing
Thank
great.
you.
As an acting coach, you're doing
yeah.
great.
Thank you. Thank you.
And it's fun to watch,
Yep.
too. And it also makes it that though your style is very well trained and very efficient and you know your stuff,
Yeah.
but you can do it too.
Yeah.
And I love that you brought that down to the everyday dude.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, maybe I should try this sometime.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm even trying to change my messaging more. I've created like the Cook Forage Feast page for where more of the foraging classes and those are gonna lie, and more of my like foraging videos, because I was realizing as I was getting really into foraging, my messaging was I was just posting about foraging and mushrooms and these plants that were like completely unattainable to people. So
Yeah.
still keeping that overarching message of like wild food and foraging, but like really focusing on actionable things and stuff that the average person can benefit
Right.
from, because
Yep.
the average person's not going to go look for 30-pound mushrooms for 6 hours like I am.
I probably won't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I could teach you the best way to cook any mushroom and like the best way to store it and the yummiest way to make your kids like mushrooms. And I think that's where more of the messaging is going.
Right.
Same silliness,
Yep.
same overarching principle, but making it less. I was like making content for foragers and like they're
Yeah.
already pretty good cooks.
Yeah. They figured out how to.
Yeah, they got
do
it
that.
down.
It's so funny because I started, and it happened while I had COVID like 2 years ago, but the series Alone, have you
Yeah,
watched this
I
series?
have, yep.
I was actually like, this is ironic that I'm watching you right before you and I have this conversation where they're foraging in the middle of the Canadian wilderness.
Totally.
And, the dude has to go home because he's been drinking the wrong water.
Ooh.
Like, would you do something like that?
I am so. It's funny. Like a lot of people think I could survive. No, maybe I have a few more. I have a few more skills, a few
Yeah.
more abilities to like find food than the average person.
But the survival.
I'm not. No.
No.
I've never killed. I've never hunted anything. I don't know anything about building structures. None of that stuff.
Yeah.
If I really put my head to it, I could learn.
Yeah.
But
Do you need to?
no, I would
No.
not go on the. I don't know. I wouldn't say I would never go on the show alone,
Yeah.
but it's not. I'm not like a
not
survivalist.
No.
you know.
I'm not either.
I'd like to. I'm a big camper.
Yeah.
But even then, I haven't gone on backpacking trips. We just car camp.
Yeah.
We just camp
There's some
next to our
creature
car.
comforts that are okay not to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I could hike in those woods for a while.
Exactly.
And then I'd like to stay in a nice hotel
Yeah.
at the end of the
Yeah.
night.
Yeah, I'll do a big hike. I'm totally down with not showering for a week. That's all good and fine. But I can't live off the land with confidence. Something I'd love to do. I mean, I think it'd be super cool to learn more survival skills. I think homeschooling would be super cool, and putting the kids through like survival camps and stuff like that. Stuff I wish I could have
Except
had.
that they're home all the time.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I like I like the idea of the embrace. I don't know if it would be I don't know if it would be possible with my job and what I do. But hey, if I can, as as the kids come into play, maybe my content can switch into like making kids like food more and like parent around that. Maybe and then maybe I'm just making videos at home and getting paid to do that, and then like homeschooling could be a different thing.
Yeah. We just had, I used to say, like, I would never homeschool my children unless the world exploded. But apparently that was COVID. So, gone through it.
Yeah.
I appreciate the schools very much.
Totally. Yeah. And that's me, somebody who has no kids saying they want to homeschool, so I could have kids and start homeschooling them, and my opinion could change completely.
But I think you're going at it with a different manner, as opposed to, I'm going to teach them 17 lessons of mathematics every day. No.
I would hire a tutor too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would not.
No.
I'm not teaching my kids math.
No.
I did not pay attention in school in math. So who am I to teach my kids math?
No. It's so hard when they're struggling with it for me not to go, I hate math. Because I hate math.
It's like, you don't need this shit, buddy.
You won't use it. I had one teacher senior year, finally, that got it. And, I was the obnoxious one in the class that would say, when are we ever going to have to use this?
Right.
And one day he finally said, Miss Lively, you are never going to have to use this.
Yeah.
And I said, thank you. I shut my book. And he goes, but you need it for the test.
Yeah.
But I appreciated that.
Totally.
Of somebody that sees, no, I'm not going to be doing geometry for the rest of my life.
Right.
Sorry.
Yeah.
There are some things we use, of course, but.
Quick math. It's like.
Right.
What I use the most is addition, subtraction, some super basic multiplication and division.
Some fractions here and there.
Yeah. And like. All of it can be done on my phone too. So.
Oh, and the phrase "you'll never walk around with a calculator in your pocket." Actually, we do.
It's way more powerful than a calculator ever wishes it could be.
And I can check on my social media.
Exactly.
Do you ever get annoyed by having to be on social media a lot?
I don't get annoyed by having to be on it. I get annoyed at myself by how often I'm on it. I'm like, it is like a very powerful driver of my attention.
But it's hard because you're also using it as part of your job.
Totally.
Which, here and there. And I'm sure, I don't know if you get the phrase of like, oh my gosh, you're on social all the time. I see you on social all the time.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I mean, it's just part. I think people assume if I'm posting 4 or 5 times a week, it's like, dang, this dude's like on Instagram a bunch. And
but it's your platform.
It's my platform. It's making me money.
Yeah.
We got connected through Instagram. So there's a lot of good that comes from it. A lot of my like really awesome business connections, and I've got to meet some incredible people through social media. So I think I just need to set some better boundaries. It's like my screen time is atrocious.
Same.
Atrocious. And a lot of people are. I think it's a very relatable.
It's an easy time suck.
It is. And I can't say I don't learn anything from it. Or nothing good has come from it. Ton of good come from it. And that's why.
A ton of really interesting material that would be great on Jeopardy also comes from
it. Totally.
I'll keep using that.
Yep. Yeah, it's like.
Explain that away.
Yeah. The connections, it's like any tool. Can be overused, and it can be very valuable. It's like, I don't need to check to see how well a post is doing.
Yeah.
It's like, I got the post, put it out, forget it. I even have an app that locks my social media after like an hour and a half use. I just click the button.
You're like, no,
ignore,
thank you.
Ignore. I'll check it. Thank you.
I like the do not disturb sleep time.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm awake. I'm still working here.
Yeah.
Working. Where did the happy cooking phrase come from?
I don't even know.
That sort of stuck.
It's stuck. I said it one time and just kept saying it. And I think like some of my branding friends and marketing friends are like, dude, keep it. Keep going with it. So got it on the shirt. So
What's been your favorite interaction from what you've done so far, or your favorite meetup, or your favorite? Because I know you've been working with groups and doing some foraging with groups and doing
Yeah.
cooking with groups
Yeah.
and meal prep and that sort of stuff.
Coolest thing that happened was there's this big influential dude in the wild food world, Alan Burgo. He is a classically trained chef who has been blogging about wild foods and like his experiences and creating recipes around wild foods for the last 10 years. So he has built out a massive catalog of wild food recipes, and he's like the leading chef in the country for wild. Like, you can go to his page and treat it like a wild food Google search engine. You know, you put a wild food in there,
Yeah.
there's multiple resources and recipes. So
He's done the work.
he's done the work.
Yeah.
I was feeling a little like I'm a very much like, I want to work with the people that are way better than me, that I can learn a lot from and try and work for them, because that's how I learn best. So I DM'd this guy out of the blue and was like, hey, this is my situation. This is what I do. I have a very flexible schedule because of being self-employed. If you ever need an extra set of hands for a dinner, let me know.
Yeah.
And long story short, I got to drive out to his state, sleep on his couch, spend 4 days prepping and foraging for one of the biggest wild food festivals in the country.
Where was that?
In southern Wisconsin, the Wild Harvest Festival. So Sam Thayer is like the country's, maybe the world's biggest, most well-known, well-written forager. He's created some of the most popular foraging field guides and books. It's his festival that his family puts on. And like everybody that I had been following in the foraging, wild food, survival community was there. So it was like my Disney World. Yeah, my Disney World. Like, it literally felt like I was in the Twilight Zone. Like, I thought I was like,
Did you geek out?
Oh, I was like, I played it cool.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, I had his book. Like, I totally could have asked him to sign my book.
Right.
But like saying that like I'm friends with him is like,
that was so much better.
just so much better. So it's like a new mentor in a space that I still have a ton of room to learn in, who has been doing it way longer than I have. He makes, he does the online content as his full-time job, which is like something that I'm trying to strive towards being a fraction of my, my money that I make. And I mean, it was literally just me asking. It was just like, moral of the story is
just ask.
Yeah, ask. Like, the worst thing that could have happened is he said, no, I'm
Right.
good.
Yeah.
But I got hired year after year. I'm going back this September to do it again.
I was going to ask when it is, because I hear Wisconsin. I'm like, I'm cold here.
Yeah. It's,
Please tell me it's decent.
September.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
so it's
not
warm.
bad.
It's
Okay.
warm. It's like perfect camping weather.
Nice.
So it's like 200 people. Tickets sell out super fast, and I'm part of the kitchen crew. And we do breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then brunch the following day. So we're cooking. We're basically cooking for like 240 people, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then brunch. So 4 meals, all family style, as much wild food as we can incorporate.
that's cool.
So he's letting me make breakfast on the first day, so I get to come up with the breakfast dish.
Any plans as of yet?
I might try and do tamales. He might hate me for it because it's like a lot of ahead of time, like prep work. It's a little laborious, but I think it'd be pretty badass.
I love tamales.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
So good.
So that's it. I mean,
That's great.
it was like a complete dream come true.
That's awesome.
Many tears of happiness were shed after landing that gig.
Oh my gosh.
Getting that email.
That's so cool.
Pretty cool.
Keep
Pretty cool.
doing that. No, I agree with you fully. I mean, that's how this podcast happens.
Yeah.
It's just asking.
Totally.
And the number of people that we've had on here that I don't know why they say yes, but it's
Right.
like, cool, let's just talk for a minute. And,
Heck yeah.
But just ask.
Yeah, totally.
So many people are wanting to say yes just because it's this kind of give and take of the world. And I hope that continues.
Yeah.
I think COVID gave us a lot of that, but kind of like that mentality to stick with it. So.
I think so. Yeah, it's like And, he had never met me. I have experience in kitchens. So that was something that was a consideration. But he was like, it's like the eager beaver thing. Like you messaged me and then you followed up.
Yep.
And, it's like you
It's
wanted
important
it.
to
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. He felt that. So
Right.
it was,
Awesome.
he's going to come down in July.
Okay.
We're going to do an event down here in July. So
Nice. Okay. Have to keep us posted.
yeah, totally.
I'm very interested.
Yeah. That'll be
So
awesome.
tell us how people can find you and keep tabs with you.
LorenzoCooks.com is where foraging classes are. I do in-person meal prep, so I could go into your house and fill your fridge full of healthy food. And then on Instagram, it's Lorenzo 2_cooks. And yeah,
Love it.
Yep. Instagram and website is where things are at right now.
Amazing.
And got a couple foraging classes coming out in the spring.
Okay.
Just wrapped a winter one up.
I saw that.
Yep.
I felt bad for those cold people, but
It was awesome.
I'm a wimp, though. You've already established that I'm a wimp.
There was some cold haters there, and let me tell you, the smiles on their faces were just absolutely glowing during it.
All right, I'll come in the spring.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Totally.
I just can't.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
No.
I don't blame you.
No, I'll put my house coat and my hats on. But thank you so much for coming out. It was
of course.
great to talk to you.
Yeah, you too.
And eat before this episode. I'm just going to put that out there as I am starving right
That's
now.
hilarious. Well, hey, you got chili. You're prepared.
chili.
That's awesome.
I do.
You got home-cooked food ready to go.
I do.
That's what it's all about.
With your stuff. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Boxland Media. Think big.